never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer, fine.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. It is a Wednesday, so of course that means it's time for another weekly top 10 countdown. And this is one that I'm excited about, and I know my buddy Mike is also going to be excited about this because him and I both have a passion for baseball. I love baseball, and this is a countdown that I was going to do last year, but I didn't, so I'm going to do one this year, and it's actually one that you could do on a yearly basis because it is the top 10 Major League Baseball players as of right now, which is why you could do it every year because it changes on a year-to-year basis. Some players go up on the list, some players will fall down on the list, and some players will fall off the list. It all depends on how they're playing that year. Now, before I get into it, let me preface this by saying that I'm giving you each player's numbers this year, not career numbers, just this year. And it may be skewed a little bit because of my work schedule. I wrote all their current numbers for the year down last night before last night's games. And the reason why I did that is because of some of these players play on the West Coast, and I just could not stay up that late to see what they did last night. So some of these numbers may be skewed a little bit because of last night's games. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. It's top 10 Major League Baseball players as of right now. Number 10 is Juan Soto of the Washington Nationals, who has a WAR this year of 2.2. He has 14 home runs, but he's only hitting .223. But Juan Soto is an amazing player. The reason why, in my opinion, his numbers are a little bit down right now, which is why he's number 10. I originally, if I'd have done this countdown before the season, I'd have had him probably up, if not top 5, at least close. But he's actually in a contract year, and it's amazing how players' numbers can be affected based on their contract year. Some affected in a bad way, like Juan Soto. Some are affected in a good way, like Dansby Swanson of the Braves. Dansby Swanson's always been an average player at best. He's in a contract year this year, and he's playing absolutely phenomenal. But I believe the reason why Soto is struggling so much is because the Nationals are terrible, and this is his contract year, and more than likely he probably doesn't want to stay there because why would you want to stay there? They're one of the worst 5 teams in baseball, and they have one of the worst, if not the worst, farm systems in baseball. So they're going to be bad for years to come. So Soto really has no reason to stay there. So I think he's trying really hard to impress other teams, which is causing him to press too much and causing him to struggle. Plus, he wants to win, and if he doesn't get at least 3 to 4 hits every night and at least a home run every night, the Nationals have no chance of winning. So I think he has a lot on his plate, but still a great baseball player. Number 9 is Manny Machado, who, of course, has been injured, so his numbers could be even better than they already are. But his WAR this year is 4.0. He's got 12 home runs, and he's hitting 328. Number 8 is a player that may surprise a lot of people, but this guy is still young, and he is one of the, if not the main reason for the New York Mets turnaround, and that is Pete Alonso. His WAR this year is 2.1. He already has 22 home runs. He's hitting 281 on the season. Number 7 is Yordan Alvarez of the Houston Astros. He already has 22 home runs this year, batting .312, and his WAR for the year is 3.3. Number 6 is Xander Bogaerts of the Boston Red Sox. His WAR for the year is 3.1. He only has 6 home runs, but he's hitting .330. Before we talk about the top 5, let's recap numbers 10 through 6. Number 10, Juan Soto of the Washington Nationals. Number 9, Manny Machado of the San Diego Padres. Number 8, Pete Alonso of the New York Mets. Number 7, Yordan Alvarez of the Houston Astros. And number 6, Xander Bogaerts of the Boston Red Sox. And just in case you're watching this video and you don't know, let me go ahead and say that WAR stands for wins above replacement. If you're a diehard baseball fan, you know that. If you're not, you may not, because baseball is more of a stat-driven sport than any other sport. And basically what wins above replacement means is the higher it is, the better you are, because it's just saying that if they took you out and replaced you with an average player, you've given your team 3 more wins than the average player would give them, or you've given your team 2 more wins than the average player would give them. So if you're in the negatives, that's bad, because that means you are costing your team wins. Number 5 is Aaron Judge, another player who is in a contract year. He's always been a great player, but he's actually finally staying healthy this year. But his WAR for the year is 3.7. He's hitting .293, and he already has 28 home runs. Number 4 is Marcus Betts, better known as Mookie Betts. And just like Manny Machado, he's actually out injured right now, but still putting up great numbers. At the time of his injury, his WAR was 2.8, hitting .273 with 17 home runs. And most people don't know that his name is actually Marcus, but he's called Mookie because when he was growing up, right after he was born, the Hawks had the player named Mookie Blaylock, and Mookie Betts' parents were a big fan of Mookie Blaylock, so he got the nickname Mookie, but his name is actually Marcus, and his middle name starts with an L, so that his initials are MLB. That just tells you how much his family loves baseball. Number 3 is Shohei Ohtani. He's the only pitcher on the list, but it's because he also plays in the outfield, not just because he's a pitcher. I normally wouldn't put a pitcher on the list because, in my opinion, in order to be an effective top 10 player, you have to play every day. And starting pitchers, of course, only pitch every 5, nowadays sometimes 6 days. Now, you could be a top 10 pitcher, but you can't be a top 10 player. But I have Ohtani on the list because he also hits and plays defense and not just pitches. But his WAR for the year is 3.2. He has 16 home runs, and he's hitting .260. And number 2 on the list is the guy who actually makes me sick, and it makes my stomach turn to even say his name. But if you follow the channel, you know that whether I like somebody or not, it doesn't matter. When I give my opinion, I give honest opinions. This is one player I have never liked. When his former team let him go and then they came back and won the World Series the following year, I thought it was the greatest thing since buttons on a shirt. I've even made fun of this guy in the past for making all this money to go out there every year and hit 270 with 25 home runs. But last year, he hit above 300. And this year, he's hitting above 315. And just like Manny Machado and just like Mookie Betts, he's actually out injured right now. But at the time of his injury, his WAR is 2.6 with 15 home runs, hitting 318, and that is Bryce Harper. I think now we are finally seeing all the potential in Bryce Harper that we heard for years. We now finally see it. He is an amazing player, but I hope the Phillies go on to win the World Series and he's out hurt the rest of the year. Not that I want him to be hurt, but it would be two teams that he has played for that have won the World Series. Without him, that would be incredible. And number one should be no question in anybody's mind. He's been the best player in baseball for a decade. It's just nobody talks about him because his team has sucked the entire time he's played for them. And he's still so young. He'll probably be the best player in baseball for about the next 5 years, but that is Mike Trout. His WAR is 4.1. He's got 22 home runs, and he's hitting 286. So he's probably headed for another 40 or 45 home run season. But he actually already has 861 career RBIs, 203 stolen bases. He'll surpass 1,500 hits by the time this year's over with. And if he stays healthy the rest of the year, he'll surpass 340 career home runs by the time the year's over with. So you're talking about a guy that's going to easily have probably 250 stolen bases, somewhere around 2,500 hits. And the game of baseball's changed so much that 30 years ago, that'd be considered a decent career. Nowadays, 2,000 hits is a great career, and he should easily also have 500 home runs. So, I mean, there's no question that Mike Trout's good. It's too bad the Angels suck, because baseball is the sport where it does not matter what you do. If your team sucks, you get no credit. And the Angels have sucked the entire time Mike Trout's played for them, and they still suck. And they're probably going to suck for the next 3 to 4 years. But hopefully, before Mike Trout retires, they'll get good, so he will get the credit he deserves. But if you watch baseball at all, it shouldn't be a question that Mike Trout's the best player in baseball. It's not even arguable at this point. But that is my opinion of the top 10 current Major League Baseball players. Any thoughts on this, as always, please feel free to let me know, and stay tuned for next Wednesday when we have another weekly top 10 countdown. If I get any requests, I will try to do that one. If not, wait till next Wednesday to see where I'm going with next week's top 10 countdown. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. What did the plumber say to the singer? Nice pipes. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.